Welcome back, repeat listeners, new listeners. I know we picked up a few along the way here. They're kind of chiming in. Last week we talked about a very interesting topic for Cedric and I, and just had an amazing time around our dreams and chasing our dreams and realizing our dreams, which continue to evolve. So just kind of a quick check-in with Cedric, kind of see how his dream chasing is going in his life today. I know he's got some exciting news that you might share a little bit about with you folks. So Cedric.
What up? What up? Man, appreciate being back here with y'all, man. Such a pleasure. And welcome. But yeah, man, hell, we on hours. We're on the countdown, man, to the little mini me coming. I don't know if that's necessarily a chasing a dream or whatever, but just man, I'm just really caught up in all of that, man. Just him about to be here within, the next 6 days. So it's like, pretty cool. And, the coaching and whatnot, man. Yeah, still chasing that dream. That'll always be a dream we're chasing, right? That's what we do every day.
Right.
So, what's up with you, man?
Oh, just, really enjoying just kind of the space in my life. Obviously lots of work to do. Definitely not feeling like I'm on top of every area of my life as far as my having my game face on, really stepping up, just kind of really being more, kind of present, in every situation, feeling a closer alignment with my wife and my son, and just really kind of focusing on that. But yeah, just really in a good place right now. And I think what's interesting about that is, us both posting recently about some challenges and some places in our life that kind of shape who we were and who we are now, and how struggles can sometimes turn into opportunities for us to share and to kind of even look in some of those nooks and crannies that we haven't really look back to see how those little things in our life affected our everyday life, or as we grew up as children, or as we became adults, or how we are being a brother or sister, and now a father. So when you kind of kicked that whole experience off by your amazing sharing at HCI Live with the group out there, then feeling very fortunate you kind of relived that whole experience with me, really kind of brought me back to a time in my life where, really created some challenges for me, and I didn't really realize it at the time. So, yeah, I'm going back to, a pretty serious moment in my life when I was probably like second grade. So what's that, 8, 9 years old, something like that, 7 or 8, somewhere around there. And just envision, at that age, boys being boys, my older brother, childhood friend next door, screwing around with matches, lighting stuff on fire, just, kind of experiencing, the little things as young children do to kind of, explore their own, interest in different things. So, I'm not going to go on and on about just, the more of the details of that fascination with fire, but just to kind of get to the point and kind of this dark space that has been in my life and still kind of at times haunts me to a certain extent, or gives me some reason to look back and really understand where some of my closing myself off and being small and protecting my heart kind of came from. So again, 7, 8 years old, backyard, another occasion we were messing around with matches. So neighborhood boy decides to, his father has a boat. So he went out and he took a trash can lid and siphoned some fuel out of the tank. And we went into the backyard area where typically would do our thing, and lit the match, and poof, just huge ignition, ignited a huge area, actually started some branches in the tree up on fire. So what I remember about that moment is fear, uncertainty, what to do. So my instinct told me to grab a rock. So there was a rock next door, next to me, and I grabbed that and I threw that at the pan of fuel or pan of gas. And what I didn't know was the neighborhood boy had spilled gas on himself when he was going through this process of getting the fuel out of the tank. Whew. And he fully ignited. I mean, just pretty much his whole body was in full flames. I mean, he was just, yeah. So, rolling him around on the ground, trying to get him out, trying to get, call the fire department. It was just kind of a blur in my mind of that whole experience. I remember calling my mom and just having to tell her on the phone that there's been a tragic accident, and that the neighbor boy got caught on fire through our negligence, and just the vivid memories of charred skin, seeing him in his house with in an area where he had to be fully protected, skin peeled back, just obviously redness and skin that was just unimaginable to know what he was going through. So when I kind of reflect back on that tragic experience, and I'm going to follow my mom, because for whatever reason, there's parts of that story that I don't have the answers to. But what I remember about it is, being grounded. I remember, needing to write, a message or like over and over, I will not play with matches, or something around that. I mean, just kind of that repetitive writing of, feeling, being sorry to the neighborhood boy. So we got sued for it. So that was obviously a huge impact on our family. Had to deal with the embarrassment and the judgment around others through the years that knew the neighborhood boy and how he had to kind of move through his life with these scars and story of what happened to him. So feeling responsible for that, feeling like like I made a decision in my life that caused a young boy permanent damage physically and obviously emotionally and just remembering nights where I just prayed for for him to make it through it. And it's interesting because I actually we moved, or we kind of lost contact as we grew older. Actually met up for circumstances kind of caused us to end up being at a house where a neighborhood friend of mine knew him and ran into him and felt like that was kind of a, not really say closure of that experience, but didn't feel like he was pissed off at me or held me accountable, or was kind of allowing me to, I mean, he allowed me to feel that it was okay and it was an accident. And but I think it's still something that really keeps me at times from allowing my heart to fully open, kind of protecting myself from the hurt that I caused others. And I shared with the group, actually I shared in the men's post the other day about just, skin conditions that I've had that I've, kind of struggled from time to time with just my own insecurities around the appearance of that. And I wonder at times if that's, kind of a payback for the pain that I caused somebody else in their life. And so it's a space when I look back in my life and how I view it now. Obviously, kids are kids and things happen and accidents happen. But just a place that's still kind of in my awareness that how we make decisions in our life at any age and how it can impact others, and how we bury those memories of what happened. And I think that's something that I did for a long time. And until I've been willing to kind of share this experience, I think I felt like, that it wasn't a worthy story to tell anybody else, because it's more about, well, you did what? You lit some kid on fire. I mean, really? So it's just, for me and that whole experience. And when we talk, tonight about, this topic of dark spaces in our life, definitely a time in my life, and there's plenty other to talk about. I think when I'm just kind of thinking about today and a really experience that I had that really affected then and still to this day, causes some, memories of and thoughts around him. I mean, actually, I saw him on Facebook, and he's part of a burn foundation, and I've tried to see if there's some point where we can reconnect and get together and catch up, which he was very supportive of. So, yeah, just a dark space that I kind of felt like I pushed aside and didn't share and didn't feel the support from my parents at the time. And I don't know if that's true or not. It's just kind of void in my heart and my life. So I'm not trying to pass judgment on my parents, but I don't remember those types of things of happening. And I think that really created so that space or loss of that feeling of it's going to be okay, Ron. You didn't do this on purpose. What can we do to kind of help you emotionally through that? I don't know if I ever experienced that, or if I did, obviously I didn't get what I needed to get out of it, and felt like it's a sharing moment for me now for those that may listen in and have maybe a tragedy in your life that you've experienced, and the worthiness and the helpfulness of sharing that with a person in your life or to a group of people that can really understand and benefit from your story. And I think that's one of the chapters in my life and my story that has really allowed me to kind of move past some of those limiting beliefs about myself.
So man, I'm kind of curious to know, because I've heard that story, and man, I feel it every time the same way. But I'm wondering, like, man, like after it was all said and done, and you had to write the lines and all of that, was there ever a point where you felt like people viewed you different? Because I know they looked at the neighborhood boy like, oh yeah, definitely his life is different. Look what he has to deal with. But was there, or do you feel like there was any judgment passed down on you? Or did you feel that way?
I think it was definitely more self-judgment, because I think I didn't hear, through school or any of that was like the talk that this is, they knew of him, and they knew that he had this severe injury, through this fire situation. I don't know if in that conversation it came up, me being that person that was involved in that. So I've never really felt like that judgment from others around that in my life. Just more that self-judgment of, kind of maybe a different reaction to that situation, how that could have changed a lot of things, for, how it impacted the whole family and how it impacted, their family. Yeah, it was just fucking around with matches, right? I mean, out of something that could be as simple as, doing that turned into a horrific tragedy that could have killed him. And how would I feel today if that happened? I don't know.
Man.
And I think I shared with you, I went through a workshop. It's probably been, maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, where we did some work around just kind of being with that neighborhood boy and not really seeing his face. It was more like the experience of being in that room with him, because he had a blanket over his head, and I couldn't really make out him per se, but it was more about him telling me that he accepts what happened, and he didn't hold me accountable, and there's no judgment against the, in the experience, which was very powerful for me, because I think that was something that allowed me to, cry and to experience those feelings that I don't think I ever felt those and experienced those. And I think that's the tragedy, right, in life, that we have these experiences, especially as men. We're told, man up. I mean, shit happens, right? I mean, don't worry about it. And that's probably more of the space that I came from and was probably taught to handle it that way as a young child. And that, caused me some serious lack of growth in my life to really, be more mindful about how others experience us and how we allow others to, to feel like that it's not their fault, right? I mean, things happen, and I think it wasn't done as a malicious act, and I know that in my heart, but it still doesn't erase the memory of, the action and the reaction and the whole, kind of lack of support and processing and all the things that led up to, finally now being able to discuss it, with you and with others, and to, put this into a podcast where hopefully others can listen in and learn a little bit about something that they may be kind of keeping as a space of fear, or a space of tragedy, or or a place of, uncertainty that can be just so daunting to, keep that in a space where you're trying to be a good person, and you're trying to, move ahead in your life, and you're trying to be, this best version of yourself. Um, and I know, you shared with me, and with a group of 12 people, some of your dark areas of the spaces in your life. And I'm interested in, I know we don't have time for the whole story. I think that's, definitely something that is going to continue to evolve for you and for me, and how that, kind of materializes in your life. But now it's kind of, now that you kind of put that out there, and it's kind of moved through that process of, connecting those dots, and still knowing there's probably still some other areas that you haven't really tapped into and explored. So I'm interested in now, kind of a week, going on 2 weeks now since you had that experience. What dark spaces are you kind of dealing with right now? And it doesn't have to be around that, because I know we initially talked about just now being a parent, right? And just kind of going through that. So I'm interested in, is there a dark space in your life right now that you'd be willing to share and explore, just to kind of see where you're at with that?
Man, it is, and it's an ongoing one that I'm constantly working towards overcoming. And it's really, it's a place where I go and I'm feeling inadequate. One of those places where I feel like I'm going to fuck it up. Because there's a place, and one of those turning points in my life, or one of those pivotal moments where, when I think back, I can see where it broke me mentally and emotionally, to where that kind of became me, where it was somebody I really looked up to, and I had trusted to care for me and care, what I thought, what I felt, and I thought they had my best interest. But for them to come out and maliciously tell me that I basically wasn't going to amount to nothing, that I was not going to do anything in life, it broke me.
And how old were you?
Now
how old were you?
I was, at this point, I was like 15 or 16.
Okay.
On my way to high school. Well, no, I was actually in high school, getting ready to graduate, and that's and that guy's one of the reasons I actually went to the Marine Corps. So it was some motivation behind it, but that subconscious and that core hurt that came behind it, that I really couldn't tell anybody, was, well, and it wasn't like when he told me that, it was after the fact. When you fail, or you try something and you don't succeed, then I heard that voice. Well, they did say you weren't going to do anything. They did say this. They said this, and they said that, so it must be true. And years of, you trying this, and anytime you fail, that was the first thing you go to. It happened because now I told my story, and I've recognized the growth, and I can feel it, and all of that. But now it's one of those. It's still one of those things to now where I want to tell the story, but it's again, that I want to play small where I don't want to seem like I'm getting the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it like you can see the progress, but you're so afraid to immerse yourself all the way in it, all the way into it,
Right.
because now it's more personal. Now everything is contingent upon me and my story. And a part of that perfectionism is like, well, you know you're gonna fuck it up. You know you're gonna mess it up. So why do this? So that's kind of that place where I'm, and you go there and then you have to work your way out of it and figure it all out based on where you're at. But that's one of those dark spaces that, I'm dealing with now, and it's one of the most prevalent ones, because that was it's a new territory. It was one of those things that I was dealing with and I overcame,
Mm-hmm.
One aspect of it. And now it's like, damn, it's like they say, new level, every new level is a new devil, right? You move and you go and then bam, since you don't know, something else comes in but it's the cool part because I think that was you telling me, it gets inside those nooks and crannies. But the same thing happens when you're changing too. The change can get inside those nooks and crannies and start to shift stuff into different ways. So yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at because, like without giving a bunch of the story, but just kind of starting from right there, like I can remember that age being a very, very pivotal point though. And being broken at that point is one of those things that I still feel now, and it's years later. So, I mean, for people listening, it doesn't, it's okay, acknowledge it. It's not bad that you feel that way. It's cool. All right, fuck it, it happened. It's okay for me to feel some type of way, but let's go. Let's move.
If you don't mind me asking, is that person still in your life?
Oh, hell no. And truth be told, man, well, I mean, I got to put it out there. Truth be told, I ended up shooting at the dude in broad daylight.
Wow.
Because he put his hands on my mom, and that was like the love of my life, so shit, and I didn't know at the time. She had told me this after the fact, and I was like, oh, he did what? And okay, so I drove up to the house, and so I'm sitting outside and just jumped out the car and just started shooting at him. uh, so now, and that's another part of, man, I got a interesting to now, here it is. Now I'm trying to change the world from trying to take people out of it. It's kind of funny how, it comes back full circle, man, and put a line on your mind, though, you know.
So
And that
back,
same guy,
go ahead.
no, I was just thinking, and that same guy, but now I can look back and I have so much love and appreciation for him because I did learn I learned a whole lot from it.
Right.
And I wish I could. I don't know where he's at. I wish I could find him and tell him I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Because he did what he did with what he had and what he knew how to do. And just at that point in his life, it involves my mom, but it's no reason to try and take the man out, I should have just been trying to figure out what's going on with him.
And I think, you and I think believe we've talked about this before, or I'm sure you've heard this, is, when we forgive, we release those strings that keep us attached to that experience that we had. And I think that's, a place that I've had to, kind of work through, not only from the standpoint of interactions with him, this boy that has these, visible scars that that you can't mistake him from anything other than, a tragedy, to, forgiveness to myself. And I definitely feel like that's a place that I, have moved through. But now having a son, he's moved obviously past that age where, he's not that mischievous kid that is in a neighborhood where there's, kids are kind of running around doing crazy stuff. He's in a neighborhood where he's in more of a controlled environment. He's got a good head on his shoulders. Obviously has a, strong presence of dad and mom in his life. But you don't know, right? I mean, these little dark spaces that we have, that we are now speaking about, what little dark spaces are in our children's lives, and how do we allow them to experience them so they do have these learning moments, and know that there's a way to move through tragedy and have some upside to that, and being willing to see what's on the other side of that, but not pushing those feelings and experiences they have, or minimize them to where they don't understand that the feelings that they have are real. I wish now that I would have spent that time crying, just those feelings of how that impacted somebody's life, and how I carried those tears so tightly inside of my heart for so long, and didn't allow them to come out. And I now just kind of realizing more and more how an experience like that can just lock up your feelings, and create this this sense of oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? Just sense of, or lack of hope. There's lack of hope that things are always good in the world, and things happen for a reason. Did that happen for a reason? I mean, to see a boy go through the tragic experience like that on both sides, him and me, and I think I'm a believer that everything happens the way it's exactly supposed to happen, because every moment before that happened exactly how it was supposed to happen. But when you have experiences like that, it's like, okay, it's an interesting way to kind of process that. But if I can come out of that experience understanding this place that's been kind of a void in my life, and a fearful place to explore and talk about, and I can be bold and share this experience with others, and allow them to kind of create a space where they can move through these things that come up in our life, challenges, loss of loved ones, all these things that can be huge obstacles for individuals to overcome. If I can step up and learn to grow myself, and then to give that gift to somebody else and share this this story with them, hopefully that's a good positive message and present that I can give to others.
Yeah. And I think we figuring it out too, man, on the cool with like these stories and stuff. Cause like, wow, bro, like giving it, like I can remember, and even in that little bit of time, it wasn't the full, thinking back, it really wasn't the full story, because it's really whatever you're feeling at that moment. I was feeling that part of my life, childhood and the teenage and all of that. And then I just, shared this, and I was like, damn, I was like, oh shit, I could have added that to it, but that didn't even pop up, when I was going through it. So the story gonna always be there, man. And ever evolving, based on how we feeling. And we just gotta keep stepping, man, I'm just chilling. And we just gotta keep stepping up, and
but I think
showing the world the power through the story.
Yeah. And I think what's very powerful for me is our willingness. And this is, I think us patting our own selves on the back, that, we're willing to, I mean, this is a conversation we have had, and we could have just in the privacy of, on the phone or in person, and just kind of allow that growth and opportunity to really, kind of come into our awareness. But, I think to actually share what we're doing with whoever may be listening in, and allow them to maybe share their story, or to maybe not even always about sharing their previous story, but maybe it's about writing their story as they move forward today, knowing that maybe they've had a life that's been very blessed, and they've, haven't had, some experiences like we're sharing that have caused pain, or, these places in their body where they're, hiding something about themselves because of fear of judgment. Kudos to us. And we're not really the type of men that we talked last time about confidence and cockiness. I guess I'm going to be a little cocky, feeling a little more cocky and coming more from my head and my heart that we're doing this. And I think that's, a good place for us to really feel that there's other opportunities for others to do the same. And I think that's just a beautiful, place to really come from and really grow from.
Yeah, for real, man. Because I gotta agree with you. The same way as like a little bit of head and heart, but it's like, fuck it, screw it, I'm doing me.
Right.
But it's a new me.
Right.
Because the old me, I did whatever, and I got the same old results. And as I was listening to you talking, I was just like, damn, man, I appreciate this dude. Because, like, something that helped, like, for real, with you and Karen, and you've been telling me this a long time ago. Journal, write it down. Mm-hmm. But it's something, I'm like, damn, man, this shit changed the game. It changed the game because I think we both manly men, we put the dresses on, but, when in our day, in our prime time shit, we was them dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we was the it dudes. Like, that typical male guy, sports dude or whatever. Hell, so, man, right? Man, kiss my ass. I'm not journaling. That's a diary. Fuck you. Right? Yep. I know that's how I used to be. I'm not writing that shit down, man. Kiss my ass on that note. But just fucking trying it. Like you say, man, writing a story down. And not necessarily like how you say, not even your story now, but just like what's going on. But to be able to go back and read that, you will start to be able to connect the dots. Right. Like, oh, well, damn, I'm feeling like this, and it might just make something pop up from last month. And then you're thinking about that and you see the recurring theme, and then all of a sudden you like, wow, man, there's some beautiful stuff, bro.
and I think it's so easy for us I think it's so easy for us to, cast judgment on those situations that, what could I have done differently? Or, why did I do that? Versus, and you and I talked about this when we talked about fatherhood. I shared, kind of my thoughts around, not holding my father responsible for some of the decisions that he made in his life, knowing that, he made decisions based on his own awareness, and, giving him, that, I guess it's not like a get out of jail free card, but, allowing or to understand more about, where everybody is at in their life. And I think the more aware we are and the more conscious we are to be ourselves and to really tap into the story of ourselves, that authentic part of who we are, there's that willingness to, push that defensiveness aside and not feel a need to justify or try to encourage somebody or really force somebody to look at things how you look at it. It's like, I can honor your opinion. This is my experience without judgment. And you're entitled to your whole thought on what you feel you could have done or what I may have, could have done in my life to, deal with this better. But I did the best I can. And I think when when I look back now on this experience and how at times I've judged, what I could have done, should have done type thing, today, as I sit here right now, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was a young boy screwing around trying to just, be a boy. So it's been a road that I've had to travel down to experience little things along the way to learn from, and then getting back to what I said earlier, just about now having a 13-year-old son, and you're going to have a son here shortly as well. They're going to make stupid decisions in their life. Hopefully not a decision that causes injury to somebody else. We both kind of experience that, obviously. But they're going to say something or do something that's going to create that space for themselves or for somebody else. And I guess as fathers, our commitment to this, what we're doing, hopefully encourages those listening to be that pillar in somebody else's life, to allow them to share that story and to give them the support emotionally and the space to be vulnerable and cry and all these feelings that can come flooding out when we had them trapped in our bodies for so long. I think there's so much of a need to, allow ourselves to re-experience that if necessary. And I think that's, I went through a little bit of that the other day when I shared that story on Facebook within the men's group, and kind of feeling a little bit of that today as we're talking here, just some of that sentimental, sadness and kind of leftover feelings that I hadn't really processed before through this whole process.
Those human feelings.
And then, those listening in, I mean, there's going to be times where, you listen in, it's like, hey, let's talk about something crazy that's just, pumps everybody up and gets the blood flowing, and it's all feel good stories and success and all these amazing things, but it's not life, right? I mean, if we don't take time to have conversations around the tough things in life, whether it's, our conversations about fatherhood, and that's, we spoke a couple of weeks ago about, all these topics that we've talked about and how that same topic 5, 10, 15 years from now could be quite different, right?
Yeah.
Based on what comes in our life.
Yeah. And man, I love that we do bring every now and then something different to the table, and y'all out there, give it to us. Don't hold it back, because it helps keep me grounded. Like, okay, we're human.
Right.
Yeah, we're coaches, and I'll be honest, because I know for me, man, sometimes it's, you get caught up in this perfectionism, like I got to practice what I preach, and it may just be that misconceived notion that coaches or self-help professionals have to live some type of way or don't feel some type of way, like we're just, super duper pixie dust happy all the time. Hell no, we got
nah. It's the Cedric and Ron show. Hello, everybody.
Yeah,
so glad to see you.
Fucking like the Care Bears and shit. We got stuff shooting out our bellies. You know what I'm saying? Hell nah. It's like two for real dudes. We get mad as hell. Sad. We feel it all, and this is just, and that's what I like about it, man. Because it's not all rainbow and sunshine. It is dark sometimes. Life's dark, and so it's kind of cool. We get to, y'all allow this space for us and to come on and acknowledge that, and hopefully help somebody through us being vulnerable and putting our bullshit out there.
Well, and I would challenge anybody listening or listens and shares this with somebody else in their life. Hit us up. I mean, we could do it. We could do an audio, kind of a 3-way conversation around maybe something that you'd like to talk about. We could not feeling comfortable to where you'd want people to know who you are because you're speaking about something that you might feel judgment about. Send us a note. Say, hey, Ron, Cedric, I'd love to join the program and go live with you on a video feed, or, I'm a little uncertain on how others might view this. I'd love to have a conversation on one of your podcasts. We'll make that happen. I think that's an invitation. I think we've tried to kind of put out there with people we know in the coaching world, but listeners, we don't know who all you are. We know a few of you that listen in that we've that have come up to us and say, yeah, we listen in, but there's a majority of you that we don't know anything about you, and maybe that's how you like to keep it. Maybe what we offer you is something that you really benefit from, but the invitation is open to anybody out there that may say,
right,
gosh, I would love to just have a conversation around the topic of this, or I'd just love to have a, kind of a connection with these, these two men and ask questions of them, or vice versa. And again, if this is more of a audio recording and no names type thing, and that's where your comfort level is, and we can offer that to you and help you in that respect, let us know. Or or it could be here on, this, the Zoom podcast with us and experiencing that. And that's just a gift I think we give to ourselves to offer up there, but also a gift to anybody that may be interested in that.
Right. Right. I love it, man. I love it.
Our cave is your cave. This, we call it the Man Kave Experience, and it's a place that, Cedric and I feel like we reside a lot of our life. I mean, we spend this time, at least once a week, kind of creating this space of time in our lives to sit down and have this conversation. But the Man Cave is the Man Cave. This is kind of an experience as we look at it in the world. It's not just this, this place where Cedric's on his screen and I'm on my screen and it's this little isolated spot in our life. I think we look at this as more of a place in the world where men can be men, women can be women, conversations can happen. I think it's more about that than it is about this little YouTube channel and having these little physical locations that we're, kind of sharing a conversation about.
You can come to the Man Cave and be you and do you.
T-shirt.
Right? Be you, do you.
Well, man, I know I express my gratitude for you. I wouldn't say as often as I should, but I think just over the past couple of weeks, just kind of reconnecting in Phoenix, having another one of those late at night, lights out conversations that we had now twice now, once in Dallas and now in Phoenix, but just really truly appreciating what you bring to my world and how you're making me a better man and allowing me to really step into my own power and allowing this conversation to continue, not only here on the channel, but also just in life. So I just, I wanted to take some time today to really offer my full gratitude to who you are, who you're becoming, and this new amazing sun that's coming into your awareness and life here.
Oh, man. Likewise, man. Like, you said something like, man, I don't know what I do without saying. And I'm thinking the same thing. Like, man, you changed the world, man. You gave me, like, it's so much. So much, like, to be able to be open. Like, you gave me a whole lot back. You know what I'm saying? Hope in mankind, in men, in everything, and continue to do it. Not, I wouldn't say intentionally, but you're just being you. You know what I'm saying? And just being a friend. So, man, like, shit, we friends. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, I don't know. It would be kind of weird if we weren't friends no more. Like, that would just be strange as shit.
And it's just getting better, right? I mean, I think we've just had the conversation around this is, we're still at the early, I mean, we've only been doing this since November of last year. So what, November, 6 months? 7 months?
Yeah, man. And I don't know if it's good or not, but it seems like we've been doing this shit forever, dude. But at the same time, like, I'm sitting here and it's like, man, damn, we really haven't been doing it this long, but it feels like we know each other so much, like we've been doing this forever.
and there's a little bit about us, obviously trying to grow the channel. I would encourage you to go back to the beginning and listen to some of those early podcasts, and maybe just listen to a few minutes of those, just kind of see how our program has kind of evolved from where it was to where it is today. And I think, again, we're going to have a lot more opportunities to really. There's going to come a day, and mark this on your in your journal as you're journaling tonight. There's going to come a day where this show is going to be like on a stage, and there's going to be a huge audience, and there's going to be kind of this whole. I'm not going to go into the details of it because I don't want to share too much, but it's going to happen. So you early listeners that are kind of getting a feel of this. Join us when that happens, because you're the ones that kind of allowed us to continue this journey towards being the best men we can be, and we really honor your early commitment to what we're doing and the support you've given us.
Yeah, man, it's all, man. That's what it's about, and who it's for.
Yep.
Secondary us, you know, first y'all,
Yep.
you know, that space. Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate y'all, man. Like just for even giving us the just shit, the whole universe, just creating that ripple, man. And y'all still being here, tuning in, and new people coming, man. Appreciate y'all. Golly, I wish I could draw a picture of the feeling that I got inside when I just close my eyes and think about it, man. It's now it really is that Care Bear warm and fuzzy. It's just like,
nah,
like, yeah.
That could be our new music. Yeah, we can do that. Papa Ron.
It's like that feeling. I guess the best way I can explain it is like when you first walk into a house and you smell fresh baked chocolate chip cookies. You know, it's just like, you know, it's just, That's what it's like, man. Y'all my fresh baked cookies.
All right. All right.
Hey, now when we get real big, everybody gonna be sending in cookies and shit to me. Like, say it here, you fresh cookies.
Oh, that is too funny. Well, anyways, we're gonna say our goodnights. I know Cedric. Well, I'll give him the last gasp of air here, but just again, appreciation for y'all. Push yourself. Be the person that you know you can be. Don't hold anything back from being what you know you can be in your life. And another thing I was listening to today is who's in your front row. You know, put people, surround yourself in your life with people that are cheering you on, and you live your life to the fullest.
Yeah. Yeah, and to piggyback off that, though, in picking those people, make sure you have the people in your corner that's going to give you the right stuff to think when you're facing those dark spaces, when you're in those moments. You know, they can give you a kick in the ass, but tell you what you need to hear. And acknowledge it. Acknowledge what you feel when you're facing it. And lean on those people and just persevere and push through. Mm-hmm. And don't stay still. Don't stay stagnant in the moment because you'll still be there. Yep. You know, for real. But that's my last 2 cents. Till next time, y'all. Ron, I love y'all. Namaste.
Namaste, y'all.
We bow to the divinity in you. That's what that means. People been asking, so there y'all go.
All right. Have a good evening, Sed.